Chapter 9 of The Tale of Buster Bumblebee. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Dion Gines. The Tale of Buster Bumblebee by Arthur Scott Bailey. Chapter 9. The Robber Fly at Last. Though Buster's mother, the Queen, did not hear him when he said, "Oh, nonsense," under his breath, there were others standing near him that caught the words, and they were quite indignant that anybody should scoff at the Queen like that. They were workers, those that had overheard Buster Bumblebee's remark when his mother as much as told him that he had better beware of the wicked robber fly. They were workers, and they did not approve of the lazy Buster. "Let's teach that young loafer a lesson," they said to one another. There were 3 of them. And straightway they began to scheme and plan how they should give Buster Bumblebee a thorough fright, in the hope of making him more respectful to his mother, the Queen. At least, that is what the workers said. But as a matter of fact, each of them had reasons of her own for wanting to scare Buster. Indeed, there wasn't a worker in the house that was not disgusted with his laziness. And if he hadn't been the son of the Queen, they would certainly have driven him out into the wide world long before. Of course, Buster had no idea what was afoot. He continued to tell everybody how sorry he was that he had never met the robber fly, until a few began to believe that he must be very brave indeed. But they were those who didn't know him well. As for the workers, there wasn't one in the Bumblebee household that was deceived by Buster's bold talk. They knew him for the coward he was. Well, the very next day after Buster's impertinence to his mother, a worker called Peevish Peggy stopped and spoke to him as he sat on a clover head. "If I were you, I wouldn't come near the clover patch," she said. "You know the robber fly often prowls about on the ground, and it would be easy for him to catch you on a clover top, you're so fat and clumsy. Why don't you dine on the hollyhocks in the flower garden? They are high and much safer." Buster Bumblebee seemed greatly amused. "Ho, ho!" he laughed, as well as "Ha, ha!" And then he said, "It seems to me that you are the one that ought to buzz around the hollyhocks, since you are so nervous about the robber fly." The worker, Peevish Peggy, at once flew into a temper. "You'd better look out," she warned Buster. "Once the robber fly pounces on you, you'll be so frightened you can't even squirm." "Oh, nonsense!" said Buster. The quick-tempered worker, Peevish Peggy, looked slyly over her shoulder and nodded slightly. Buster did not see the form that crept nearer and nearer to him, and a little later, and he was still chuckling to himself when he heard the terrible humming. Then, all at once he felt himself seized and held in a grip like iron. He was sure that the robber fly had him at last, and he was too frightened for anything. End of Chapter 9. The Robber Fly at Last. Recording by Dion Gines, Salt Lake City, Utah.